What's going on, racers? And thank you for tuning in for another episode of JB Trickle RC. I have a very specific and special video for you today. It is going to be a big narrative video, but I'm letting you guys know up front, this video is going to be mainly targeted for you newer RC racers or your RC racers that may be, struggling. Your race program's not quite where you want it to be yet. You find yourself struggling and trying to better your performance. And what this video is I'm going to be going over several things that I do. I'm sharing basically my program with you guys and giving you my opinions on some things. The experienced racers, they're going to have a program similar to mine. They're going to do some things differently. That's okay. But again, the focus of the channel is to help you newer racers, helping people get involved, giving you a place to go where you can get some helpful information as well as entertain with my actual race footage. But one thing I do want to go over and let you guys know ahead of time too, this video, it doesn't matter if you're racing off-road, paved oval, carpet oval, dirt oval, drag racing, any kind of RC car competitive type setting. Any of those areas you'll be able to use this program going forward, and I guarantee you, if you go by this list I'm going to call out and kind of lay out everything, it's going to improve you. It's going to improve your race program somehow. You may start getting some better finishes. You may become more consistent. You're going to be able to focus in the right areas. If you put all this together, I guarantee you it's going to help improve your racing program. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. And again, not to bore you and have to look at this ugly face the whole time, I am going to throw up a few video clips here and there whenever we're going over certain topics. Because again, this is a big narrative video, but again, this is out to help you guys that are looking for it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the time that you put in at home before race day. Most races are won not at the track, but at home. Your pre-race setup, your pre-race getting ready for race day, what you've already had done. I've helped a lot of newer racers this past season. I'm always trying to be helpful, but with the YouTube channel, growing and things like that, I've helped people through Facebook Messenger, contacting me, asking me questions. I've helped some local racers and things like that. One of the biggest things that I see, or two biggest things, we'll get to the other one later, is one of them is your pre-race day and preparations. So I understand if you're a new racer and you're green and you might not know how to set up a radio or speed control properly yet. You may not know how to solder properly yet. I've got tutorials on the channel covering some of that stuff. But once you get to that point where you can, you're going to want to follow these guidelines. So whenever you're super green first starting out, I totally get it. Some of these things, it's going to be a little bit hard to do whenever you're learning so much at one time. But once you get past that, try to put this program together and I guarantee it's going to help you. But again, the time that you put in at home before race day, like I said earlier, most races are won on the bench at home before race day. What do I mean by that? Going into the race day prepared to race. You want to go into the race day, you have everything packed, you have everything ready to go. That way you can get the track, you can get there and you can get set up and you're ready for the first round of practice. Wheel time and practice means more than anything whenever you're newer or you're struggling or in a low spot, okay? So what do I mean by the time that you put in before, the time that you put in at home before race day? Cleaning the car, okay? If you've already raced it one weekend, the car's been dirty, don't show up to the track trying to get it all ready again there. Sometimes it's gonna happen, I get that, but put some effort in cleaning the car. On some of the tutorials I talked about, you wanna go through your car, maybe your shocks, your differentials. You want to make sure your control arms are moving freely. You want the car to be clean. And granted, I don't clean my car necessarily heavily after every race, but it at least gets a wipe down. I always go through and check my control arms and shocks and feel those to see if they need to be rebuilt or not. So that's a big part of the thing, maintenance. Another thing, create a notebook. This is my notebook. It goes to me to every race I go to. What I have in this notebook is I've got some diagrams, some parts lists, some setup guides that sometimes I need to re-reference and so on and so forth. It's got some notes and so on and so forth that I've taken from the race day, and that's for dirt oval, paved oval, drag car, everything. Another thing you can do is no matter what brand car or what form of RC racing you're into, you're probably going to be able to get a setup sheet online. If not, you'll be able to find something similar enough. So go ahead and get that setup sheet and save that, and we'll get to that shortly, here shortly as well. The baseline setup on the car. If you're a couple races in at this point, or got some help from local racers, or if you have not, you can always ask if you're struggling. You know, try to get a good baseline setup and write that baseline setup in that setup book. A baseline setup is something that you can start the day off. You know that that's going to get your car around the track or down the track. And then you may have to tune it a little bit from there. You know, change the spring here, there, change some cross weights, so on and so forth, okay? We talked about this earlier, you know, any soldering or radio programming or ESC programming done, you want to have that done before race day if you can. Like I said, if you're brand new to the hobby, I totally get it. You may not be able to do that in some instances. But even if you do want to upgrade your radio or upgrade on that, you know, talk to one of your racing buddies. I've gotten together with people before race day to try to help them have that ready for race day. So that's something you want to focus on as well. Another thing is your pre-race checklist, okay? You want to be sure before race day in your tool bag or toolbox or your pit gear, whatever you use, that you have everything ready. You want to make sure you got your power supply, your battery charger, your radio, spare batteries if you need batteries, your car or your transponders, your tools that you need. If you're going to take a soldering iron to the track in case of an emergency, your tire preps, your tire cleaners, your rags. I can go on and on and on. So you want to have all that pre-packed and ready to go as well. Practice days. Okay, so this isn't so much as at home, but this is whenever you have to go out. If your track offers practice days open during the week or on the weekend, that's not a race day. If you're new, if you're a newer RC driver, get out there and practice. Right now, wheel time and track time means more to a newer racer than horsepower or anything else. And we'll get a little bit more on that here in the future as well. But track time's important, okay? Mark your tires. If this is definitely very specific if you're an oval racer. But mark your tires, your left side, left front, left rear, right rear. If you can tell the tires that these are the rear, at least mark them left and right, okay? Whenever you run oval, the tires are going to get a particular wear to it. If you get those tires out of direction at all, it can throw the car out of whack. You could be have a car that's running fantastic. You go out the next week after you took your tires off to clean them or whatever, put them back on, and the car's running like trash, you know. And I've been there, I've done it, you know, I've seen other newer racers do it. So mark your tires, especially if it's a tire that you can't tell. I always mark my rubber tire cars. My foam tire cars, if they're fresh, I mark them. But once they get feathered in, they're going to be, you know, leaning a certain direction, and those are fairly easy. But if you don't understand that whole concept yet and being able to read the tire, mark your tires. Left side, left front, right front, so on and so forth. Okay? But again, basically have your car ready for pre-race day. You have your car ready for race day. Have the car pre-set up, all your gear packed, everything's ready to go. You don't have to focus on anything other than getting to the track on race day, getting unpacked, getting set up, getting ready for practice to get that wheel time in. Okay, now let's talk about some things to do on race day that's going to help and better your race program. This is something I try to do, and again, guys, you can't always do this, but try to do this if you can. Get there early on race day. Now, granted, you may get there early and you can't even hit the track yet. I get that. But if you get there early, you get your equipment set up. If there is something that you need to do that you forgot to do or you have to do, you'll have time to do it. But not only that, you can get your batteries pre-charging. You can be ready, and as soon as practice opens up, if you're a new racer, somebody that's been struggling a little bit lately, you can hit that first round of practice. Because again, track time, if you're a newer racer, a racer that's struggling, somebody that's looking to better their race program, track time is super important, okay? So yeah, you know, having everything ready from your preparations at home gives you a head start. So that's one of the huge key points there. Get as much practice as you can. Use the notebook, all right? The notebook that you got in the setup sheet. Use this. Whether, you know, you may be struggling, you talk to a more experienced racer, he gives you some tips. You know, try this, try that, move a shim, move this collar, do this if the car's tight, do this if the car's loose. I've got tutorials covering some of that information on the channel here as well. Mark that down in your notes, okay? If you go out and your car's not handling so good and you make some changes to it, you go out there and practice and the car's handling better, make notes, okay? Your goal is to get a good basic starting point setup noted. And then you want to save good setups that work. And then you want to write down the track conditions of why it worked good. Was it nighttime? Was it daytime? What was the track surface like? How fresh were your tires? So on and so forth. You want to make notations of all that information because it will definitely help you in the long run whenever you're reviewing those notes for another race day. Okay, so if the car is handling badly, okay, here's another good one, okay? All right, so if your car's handling badly and you've tried some things, you just can't get it to work. You just can't wrap your head around it yet. Talk to one of the more experienced drivers out there. There's somebody out there that's going to be experienced, that's going to be more than willing and more than happy to help you. I try to do it the best I can when I can as well. I know several other of my racing buddies, I've seen them helping newer drivers all the time. The majority of your RC racers are a super friendly bunch of people and will go out of their way to help you any way they can. So if you're struggling, no matter what change you make the car, you just can't get the car handling right and you can't figure it out. And it can be a number of things, you know, maybe not the right limiters, they're not on the right springs, not on the right shock oils, you know, the car's towed wrong and so on and so forth. Several variables there. Ask one of the more experienced racers to drive your car. If you let an experienced racer drive your car, they can go, oh my, you know, this car's way too loose or this car's too tight. And they may be able to assist you or tell you what to do to make those changes to that car to help make the car better. And again, write that information down in your notebook. That's going to help you in the long run. That's going to help give you something to go back and review. So again, you're going to hear me talk about write things down in that notebook a lot. I've already talked about it a lot, but that's a big factor there too, okay? One of the other things on race day, and this is important to me, I know we all want to win. I know we all want to, you know, get that trophy or that winner sticker, you know, podium, so on and so forth. I totally get it. But if this is still a hobby, and I know some take it way more serious than others, and that's okay. There's different levels of drivers, and maybe we'll talk about that in another video as well. But remember, have fun, okay? The more fun you have while you're doing this, you know, the more you're going to stick to it and so on and so forth. I can't tell you how many times I've seen some newer racers that they get discouraged. They can't quite get the car figured out. They can't get certain things figured out, and they struggle a little bit, and they get so discouraged about it. So us, as the more experienced racers, and there's racers far more experienced than me too, us helping these newer drivers is going to help make them want to stick around. We need to grow the hobby, promote the sport. So helping others is a big key thing there. But again, to you newer racers, have fun. Even if you're having a bad day, have fun. Somebody out there is going to be willing to help you out and get you rolling, okay? So now let's talk about the after race day program. It kind of goes full circle in a way, okay? After race, you're back at home, right? So your after race day program kind of rolls into your pre-race day program. Because if you're racing every week, somewhere between before the race and after the race, it kind of comes to a head. So you kind of need to go back and do a lot of the things that we talked about in the at home before race day part of the program. Review your notes, get your car cleaned up, do any maintenance that it may need. Does the shocks need to be rebuilt? If you're wondering how often I do that kind of stuff, I usually rebuild my diff. I run a direct drive foam tire purpose built car. I rebuild the diff whenever I can start feeling it get a little gritty. I run a shield over it. I run the diff ball covers. You know, I try to protect it as much as I can since it's an exposed differential. But once I start feeling it get gritty, I tear it apart, I clean it. Shocks. I might go 2 or 3 races on shocks without building it if it's a club race, okay? If it's a bigger race or a points race or something like that, my car is going to get a full cleaning, a full rebuild, diff, shocks, so on and so forth. You know, the car is going to be gone through. But if it's a club race, I have won a few races on the same shocks without building them. But I've also been doing this long enough to where I can feel my shocks. I know how they feel like whenever they're built and they're good, and I can compare that. So if I'm 2 or 3 race days in and they still feel somewhat comparable, it's okay for a club race, in my opinion. I know some racers rebuild them every single race. That's fine. And I do sometimes too, but sometimes I just don't. you know. But if it's a bigger race or points race or something like that, my car always gets gone through. And even if I don't rebuild the shocks between club race days, I still unhook them from the control arms, make sure everything can move freely. I still clean them. I still clean the car, so on and so forth. I may not get down and scrub with a toothbrush, but I do clean that car. Okay. So all that kind of comes to a, you know, again, the after race day and before race day, it kind of goes full circle. So you got to fit all that stuff in there together. And some general notes, a few things that I want to cover too. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the video. For a new racer or somebody struggling, maybe it's an ill handling car or so on and so forth. Maybe it's not an ill handling car. RC racers' talent comes at different levels at different times. Some people need more practice. Some people just have a natural talent. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, especially younger racers, kids, teenagers, so forth. They'll come out there and they just got a natural feel for it. You know, their hand-eye coordination is great. They got a natural feel for the car. Maybe they've done other RC car related things. I don't know. But some people can hit the track and be good right off the bat. Some people it's going to require and take a little bit more practice. So again, like I talked about earlier, practice and wheel time is more important than anything for a new racer, somebody just starting out or somebody struggling. Because sometimes you got to ask yourself, where am I struggling? Is it a consistency issue? Am I not hitting my lines that great? You know, can I hit one or two good lines and then I'm trash? It happens. I'm guilty of it. I can run there's been nights out there I've ran fantastic races. I've been out there at nights where I can run several laps in a row, then I miss a lap, and I've been out there on nights where I can't hit a lick. And it's not the car, it's me. I'm lacking that night. That's okay. It's going to happen. But as a newer racer or somebody struggling, trying to better your program up front, it's not so much horsepower. There's a lot of newer racers I've helped, and they're like, I'm down on power. And it's hard to say sometimes, but sometimes it has nothing to do with power. Sometimes it's consistency. If you're not hitting that line consistent, if you're not driving the car properly, the car's not handling properly, you're not getting that corner speed out, don't matter how much horsepower you got. Horsepower is important, okay? It is. I'm not saying it's not. It is. But as a newer racer, I can't tell you how many times people get out. I've seen people get out there. They're like, oh man, they're just faster than me. It's not necessarily they got a faster motor than you. They're a consistent driver. Somebody that's been doing this for a little bit longer, they're just going to be consistent. They're going to be good at it. They're going to be better at it than most people just starting out. And that's okay. You people just starting out, the people I'm trying to help with this video, you're going to get there. But focus on that. Focus on trying to get more consistent, hitting your lines. Try to get, use this program that we've been talking about and try to put together your own race program and use that information to carry over. Because like I said, if you do this, I guarantee you guys, your race program is going to better. It's going to better. It's going to get you more consistent. It's going to get you more prepared. You're probably even going to see some of your finishing, your averaging finishes getting better as well. So don't so much worry about horsepower. Now, granted, another thing about this hobby, money, right? How much do you want to spend? How much do you not want to spend? So on and so forth. If you're one of those people that's just got unlimited amount of money and you want to get the best of everything up front, go for it. I mean, I'm not going to fault you for that. But if you're somebody else that may not want to spend the money on that yet, or try to get a custom built motor from a motor builder or so on and so forth, for the classes you're not allowed to do that in some classes. Don't worry about it, especially if you're new. Just get consistent. Just get down good laps and practice. Wheel time and track time means everything for you right now. So that's what I mean by consistency is key. Track time is key. You need to turn yourself into a more consistent driver, and then that power is going to come into hand. Setup is often overlooked. People think they're getting beat by horsepower a lot. And a lot of times it comes down to setup, driver, and consistency. Again, I'm not telling you horsepower is not important. It is. But it's often overlooked over the other things that I just mentioned, which is, the driver, consistency, and so on and so forth. So, but that's pretty much it, guys. That pretty much sums up this video. Again, I just want to share my race program with you. This is, again, targeted to those newer racers just getting into the hobby. Some of those racers that might be struggling a little bit. Some of those racers that, may just not have known the importance of some of the things we talked about. And again, if you're an experienced racer and you watch this whole video and you don't agree with some of what I had to say, that's fine. But I know that there's a lot of racers that I've talked to, a lot of experienced racers, and they run a similar program that I run here. And you hear people say it at the track all the time. Somebody get a win, like, oh man, that's awesome, happy for you. And you might hear that person say, man, I put in a lot of time at home. So preparations and being ready for race day is just as important as performing on race day. So keep that in mind, guys. And again, this video is aimed to help you. I hope you enjoyed it. Some of the things I talked about in the video, I've got several tutorials up on the channel already, right? I've got some shop building tutorials. I've got some diff building tutorials, soldering tutorials, so on and so forth, tire gluing tutorials, all that kind of stuff. If there's something I mentioned in this video that even if I had another tutorial up that maybe I didn't cover up clear enough, hit me up in the comment section. If there's something particular here you would like me to go over, I'd be happy to do it. I'm here. That's how this channel, that's the goal of the channel, right? We talked about in the intro, to help newer racers, help people that may be struggling, put a lot of this RC racing information in one place where people can easily find it. The channel's set up to help and it's set up to entertain. That's the goal of my channel. That's the whole purpose of it. So again, if you've got any questions on anything that I went over, if there's anything that I went over here that you'd like me to do a follow-up video on, please comment in the comment section. Let me know. I'll be glad to try to follow up on that in the near future, elaborate on some of that stuff more. If you take this program that we just discussed today, apply it to your race program, and you do see some benefits, let me know in the comment section. Because like I said, I guarantee you guys, if you take the program that we talked about and some, getting prepared and doing things like this, you're going to see some benefits from it. Like I said, whether it's going to be consistency, your average finishing is probably going to improve, or you're just going to see your driving style improve. Because you're going into the race day prepared. But again, hit me up in the comment section, guys. I love hearing from all of you. I try to reply to each and every comment whenever I get them. I may miss one here and there. It's not because I'm ignoring a certain comment or anything like that. I've noticed that the YouTube notifications on my channel may miss a comment every now and then, especially if a few come in at once. But I do my best to go back in and comment, reply to each and every one of your comments. So please, let me know in the comment section again what you thought about this video. If it helps, if you got questions, you need me to elaborate on something, I'll be glad to do it in a future episode. But with all that said, guys, again, I hope you found this helpful. Hope you can apply this. Hope that's going to help better your race program. Well, I said, best of luck if you're going racing somewhere this weekend, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.